Every time I breathe wrong, my desk shakes. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Abby and today I am going to be starting a weekend reading vlog in which my goal is to read 500 pages. Now, in making this goal, I was not sure if it was a realistic one or not. I don't know if I will get close to it or if I will completely blow by it. I don't know. I know that at my best, I am definitely capable of reading 500 pages over the course of 3 days. However, I have been incredibly lazy the past couple of weeks. I've spent more time laying in bed doing nothing over the past 2 weeks than I think I spent laying in bed doing nothing for the entirety of 2015. And even though reading for me is kind of like a passive hobby that I can do without expending a whole lot of energy, even reading has just been a little too difficult for me. Now, I'm not somebody that reads 500+ page books that often. In fact, the last book that I picked up that was over 500 pages, I gave it 100 pages and then gave up. So it's not gonna be like one of those vlogs where you're with one book the whole time. I do not have the attention span for that. Instead, I have 4 different books that I am planning on oscillating between, and I will likely finish some of them, but definitely not all of them. First and foremost, the Final Girl support group. I am going to finish this very soon. I'm actually really close to being done, probably only 20 pages, so it won't make a huge dent on the whole 500 page goal. I'm really enjoying this book so far. However, the last time I picked it up to read it, it introduced a plot twist that really kind of threw me off. I'm hoping that they explain it more within the next 20 pages, because honestly, at this moment, the plot twist is kind of impacting my overall opinion on the book. I think it'll still be a 4-star either way, because I'm really enjoying it. The next book on the list is one of my most anticipated reads, mostly because I think the cover is just absolutely gorgeous, and that is Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This book is very short. It's only 293 pages. I just checked. I don't just know that off the top of my head. And it is also the book that is due the soonest back to the library, so this is going to be priority number 1 after finishing the Final Girl support group. This is about a woman named Grace, who has just finished her PhD program and ends up going on a Las Vegas trip with some girlfriends of hers, and she ends up getting drunkenly married to one of those friends. At least I think it's one of those friends. She may not even know the person. I tend to read the synopsis for books once, and then I rarely recheck what it's about because I like to go in mostly blind. So some of the details here might be a little bit off. But I'm pretty sure this book is supposed to get pretty existential, so I'm a little bit intimidated by it, especially because she's in her 20s, I'm in my 20s, and I am not somebody that goes into books looking to see myself in books. My whole reason for reading is to just disassociate from my current state of being. So I am not looking forward to any of the revelations about myself that could come from this book, but I am still very excited to read it because I've heard some really good things, and also it's short and will definitely help me get a good start on my 500 page weekend goal. The next 2 books, I have no particular order in which I'm planning on reading them in. It'll just kind of be based on my mood. This is called The Wolves of Winter by Tyrell Johnson. I know pretty much nothing about this book other than the fact that it's post-apocalyptic, and I believe the main woman in here, I think she's pregnant. This is just something that my library recommended to me, and I love a good post-apocalyptic book, so I was just like, sure, I'll read it. And the last book you could see me reading, provided I don't go nuts and decide to get even more books from the library. This is the longest book out of the bunch at 364 pages. As I said, I don't read long books. So these are the 4 books that are going to help me get to 500 pages this weekend. I'm super excited to get into them, but I have to go to work now, so I will check in after, and we will finish the Final Girl support group together and then get into Honey Girl and the rest of the titles. Thank you for coming along with me on this quest to read 500 pages in one weekend. I'm now officially en route to work, and there were a couple things I remembered that I didn't mention. I've been working like crazy this week. Honestly, it's not that many hours, but they keep giving me the most intense shifts. But because I had a super intense work week, I have Saturday and Sunday off, which I almost never get Saturday and Sunday off together. So I have an actual legitimate weekend. So that was one reason why I decided to do this vlog. And now I'm going to start driving to work because they did ask me to come in early, so.
Now, have you ever seen deader eyes on a person?
So I do not know how much reading is gonna get done today, because even though I only came in a half hour early to work, I feel like I just worked for 9 years and then another 3. Personally, I am starving and I need to go and eat now or else I'm gonna die. We'll see how much reading happens, because as of now, all I want to do is eat food and then pass away in my sleep. One salad, a plate of pot stickers, and an ice cream sandwich later, the hungry beast inside of me has been sedated, it's calm, it's okay. My body feels like it's about 11:30 at night and I should be going to sleep, and that's not true. I need to, tonight, finish The Final Girl, which shouldn't be that hard, I'm almost done, and then my goal is to start on Honey Girl, but to be completely honest, I am being very lax on my goals for tonight because I think the bulk of the reading I'm going to get done is probably going to take place tomorrow and Sunday, and I could really use some good laying in bed staring at the ceiling time today, which I probably won't need tomorrow or the day after that. So let's go ahead and finish the Final Girl support group. And I finished the Final Girl support group. It only ends up equaling 25 pages to my weekend total because, like I said, I was pretty much done with it. I'm gonna give it 4 stars despite still not really vibing with the final plot twist. Overall, I think it's a great book. I honestly am super excited to read more from Grady Hendrix because there's just some really cool ideas in here. I'm gonna write a quick Goodreads review for it just so that I don't forget to do that, and then start on Honey Girl. So I'm taking a quick reading break to do something that I try to do pretty much whenever I add a new book to my TBR, which is just check if it's available on my library so I can organize my Goodreads accordingly. So the Grace Year library has it, not surprised, and I'm going to look for Girls Burn Brighter, and they have it. First Time to Drown. This one might be a little bit more iffy. This would be a great time to mention that I love my library to death. It's just amazing. Any book that I want, it pretty much has, and whenever it doesn't have it, it's genuinely shocking. Alright, how about 10 Blind Dates? And nobody's allowed to judge anything that's on my TBR because, oh, okay. Don't even have to finish typing. Beautiful. This one I've heard is like, kind of like a cheesy dystopian, but I'm here for it. Ooh, it has a different cover. I like this cover so much better than the other one, so that works out great for me. A Madness So Discreet by Mindy McGinnis. I've just been in a mood for like kind of lower tier YA, honestly. This one I was not thinking that the library would have, but ta-da! Okay, this is probably the riskiest one on there. It only has 925 ratings, and it was published almost 4 years ago now, so library, let's see what you got. I don't even, and this is actually middle grade, so I don't even know. Wait, what was it? P.S. I miss you. Oh my goodness. Does the library have it? Oh my goodness, it does! I'm so... See, if anybody here that's watching this video follows me on Twitter, every time I post on Twitter that I love my library, it's because I am in the middle of doing this and I'm just like absolutely floored at how many books my library has. I love my library so much. Anyway, that's it. Alright, so I have now read 57 pages of Honey Girl and I'm really loving it. Morgan Rogers, I'm pretty sure that they're a debut author, but I love the way that they write. It's like it's just so like pretty, and like the way that it's pretty just like really draws you in and makes you feel like you're there. I'm getting very tired, so everything I'm saying is probably not going to make sense, but I'm really liking the main girl, Grace. I'm really liking her like friend group, her roommates that she lives with, and I really like her stepmom. I'm not that far in, but I'm already starting to get like invested in the characters and the story. And for those of you that have read the book, you'll be interested to know where what events are happening around page 57, and they just listen to the podcast or the whatever it's called, the thing that Yuki does. So very exciting. And I'm looking forward to reading it tomorrow, but like I definitely want to be able to focus on it, and I'm getting pretty tired, like I said, so I am going to put it away for tonight and just plan on waking up in a decent time and just reading until I finish it. Hi everyone, it is Saturday and I don't know what to do with my hair today. It's just one of those days where it feels like there is an ungodly amount of it and I kind of want to just rip it all out. I am coming to you in a jumpsuit, which is super exciting. Because if you couldn't tell from the general vibe that I give off, I am 5 feet tall. And being 5 feet tall basically means that no jumpsuits ever fit you, because in order to wear a jumpsuit, you must be in between the sizes 5'5" and 5'9", and that is it. Jumpsuits, I feel like, are basically the equivalent of must be this tall to ride at roller coaster parks. But I found one at Old Navy that fit me, and it is now my favorite garment that I own, but I never wear it because I love it too much. Okay, I'm talking about clothes too much. So I've had a very late start today. I've kind of just been basking in the fact that I don't have to go to work today, which, you know, sometimes we need to do that. However, I have read 0 pages. So my plan is to really get cracking on that and absolutely inhale Honey Girl, which shouldn't be a problem because, as I said last night, I am really enjoying it. After that, I have absolutely no reason to do this, but I really want to go to the library and pick up some books. There's no books for me there. I want to like go and browse, which I actually have yet to do. I love my library to pieces, but I moved here right in the beginning of the pandemic. So for the first like year or so, I thought that the library just wasn't doing anything. I was wrong. They were doing curbside pickup the entire time, but I just didn't know about it. And when my mental health really went south, I really started craving reading again, and that's why I wanted to really get back into reading. And then just out of like curiosity, I was like, okay, is the library even functioning at all? And I realized, yes, they had been doing God's work the entire pandemic, and I had just been completely oblivious to it. So immediately got a library card and went absolutely ham. Like the physical library reopened in June, I'm pretty sure, and it's now like late August, and like I've gone in to the actual space in order to like collect my books, but I've never really gone past like the hold shelf and the checkout line. My version of the library has pretty much existed on my laptop and my laptop only, which has worked out great, and honestly I kind of prefer it that way just because like I can just search in the book that I want. If it's there, I hit the hold button and then it just appears for me a couple days later, and it's great that way. It feels like Amazon, but I'm not spending any money, and there's no guilt involved with like sending Jeff Bezos off to space and all that. So even though I have 3 books to read and it is highly unlikely that I will get through all of them, not even highly unlikely at this point, straight up impossible. Okay, only like 10 pages later, but Yuki and Grace just talked for the first time, and they're so cute. I know that this is going to be like more of like an existential book than like a romance book. That's kind of like the vibe I've been getting from other people, but they're so cute already. They are so cute. Guys, this book is so cute. I feel like so often book covers like really lead you astray and don't communicate like the actual tone of the book. So like I've been like in love with this cover ever since I saw it. I think that like the color combinations are gorgeous. I love her black lipstick. I love the flowers in her hair. I love how they've done the title in white and then the author's name in the maroon over the white shirt. I think it is flawless and I love it. But I wasn't putting too much weight on the fact that the cover was pretty because like we've all done that before and we've all ended up looking like fools. However, I am happy to say this book, like the content is so pretty. Like I've talked about before how like the writing style is pretty, but just like everything in it, beautiful. It's just so pretty. I feel like it's kind of a basic word to use, but at the same time I also don't feel like I describe a whole lot of books as being pretty, so like I'm just gonna lean into it. This is an absolutely gorgeous, pretty book, and I am having such a good time. I need to run to the library because It's gonna close in like an hour. As you can see, my reading taste is very much all over the place. We've got a middle grade with butterflies on the cover, and we've got an adult thriller that I'm pretty sure deals with like drug stuff and like small Midwestern town bad. Yeah, anyway, two books that I would say I'm honestly equally excited to read. So after an entirely pleasant experience in the library, had a very unpleasant one coming back. It's a very short drive between the library and my apartment. I usually just walk. I just wasn't feeling it today. And as I was driving, there was like a little crow in the road. And like most of the time, birds fly away when there are cars coming. This crow seemed to be a little bit challenged and was kind of bouncing around, hopping about, very confused, hopping one way, hopping the other. So I slow down because I'm not really feeling like hitting a poor innocent crow. I really like crows. Every interaction I've had with a crow has been completely positive. And I'm not a bird person. Chickens terrify me and I hate them. Turkeys, absolute Satanists. But like, I like crows. They're cool. I gave one a Cheeto once, and he was really sweet about it. So yeah, I slow down for this crow. Lady behind me, I make sure there's plenty of space between her and me. And it's not like I stopped for the crow. He did just like, he hopped out of the road right as I was like coming in. So it was like, it was not a dramatic stop. A slight pressure on the brakes for Mr. Crow. That was all. This lady starts freaking out, like waving her arms, like cursing. She like swerved to get around me, which that was the other thing. The other lane was open. If she was that mad, very easy to just switch lanes. Before she switched lanes, she was like driving, she started like driving super close behind me and like waving her arms and like flipping me off. I was just like, ma'am, I'm sorry, but the crow is more important to me than you. She probably would have just ran right through the crow. Like, I remember back in middle school, we did something called the walking unit, and with the walking unit, it was what it sounded like. We would literally just walk around and a teacher would lead us, and there was a dead crow in the road. And, you know, very sad, but we all keep walking because there's nothing else to do. This car comes around, runs over the already dead crow, and like its skull broke open. It was disgusting. I wish I could just communicate to that lady the sound it made, the way stuff came out of its beak. It was disgusting. It was sad. The death of a crow is never a good thing. I've now been talking way too long about this crow, but I just feel like I need validation, and so this is basically me just like looking myself in the eye and saying, you did the right thing, you saved a crow today. And that lady, she can be mad. She can be as mad as she wants. I didn't do anything unsafe. All I did was save a little crow that really should learn some street manners, but you know what? That's fine, he's a crow. And what do I get for saving a crow? I lock my keys in my car. One of my back doors was unlocked, so keys are now safely with me. We're all good. I'm gonna make myself some lunch because that whole experience was stressful. I've eaten, I have sufficiently lazed around doing... Can you be quiet? I'm trying to film something. I have sufficiently lazed around doing not enough reading. I am 63%, just hit myself in the face. I am 63% of the way done with Honey Girl, and I'm really loving it, but I'm wanting to kind of mix it up a little bit and introduce a new book into the mix, and I think that book is going to be The Wolf Wants In. In general, I tend to forget the synopsis of books pretty quickly, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, but like especially for thrillers, because sometimes the synopses can really spoil things for you. So I'm just going to read like the very first paragraph of the synopsis, and then we're just going to dive right in. So it says, Sadie Keller is determined to find out how her brother died, even if no one else thinks it's worth investigating. Untimely deaths are all too common in rural Blackwater, Kansas, where crime and overdoses are on the rise, and the small-town police force is consumed with the recent discovery of a child's skull in the woods. Sadie is on her own, delving into the dark corners of a life her brother kept hidden and unearthing more questions than answers. And then it goes on for like 3 more paragraphs, but I am just gonna dive in with that. I literally just started reading, like I'm still on the first page, but you have to know that the main character has a dog and the dog's name is Gravy. So I already trust this main character with my entire heart because Gravy is a fantastic dog name. Obviously I'm reading a thriller and trusting the main character is not a good idea, but come on, Gravy. Okay, Gravy update. He is a very old dog. So I am, quite frankly, preparing myself for him to die within the next several pages because he already is exhibiting health problems, and I did find out that the main character actually didn't name him because he was first owned by her brother, who is now deceased. That's not a spoiler because you know that he's dead, literally from the synopsis that I read you. But Gravy was just described as a mix between a Saint Bernard and a Dachshund. So it says his legs are maybe 4 inches long. And what else? What else does it say about Gravy? He has a fat-laden body, and but he can leap onto furniture that he's not supposed to leap onto, but really I think he is supposed to leap onto. He is. Health-wise, he's very much struggling though, so it's not looking good for Gravy, but I'm just going to enjoy his presence while it's here. And you know what? It's a short book. Maybe he won't die. We've already introduced an unidentified, like, dead child, and there's also already a dead brother. Both of these things you already knew about. I'm assuming there's more death to come, so, like, I don't necessarily feel like it's a requirement for Mr. Gravy to part with us. So, for now, fingers crossed. So it's almost 8 o'clock and I have officially just now hit the halfway mark for my reading goal, which would be 250. I've read 254 pages so far, and it's not as far as I would like to be, so I'm definitely going to be reading a little bit more tonight. I was really into Honey Girl. I felt like the way it was written in the beginning was like, even though it was like a contemporary and there's not necessarily like a lot happening, it definitely had like a page-turnery feel, and in the last like 10 pages I haven't felt that way as much, which still loving it. Like, it's definitely not swaying my opinion as a whole on it, but I'm just not as enticed to keep reading at this moment, especially because I saw how long the next chapter is, and it is incredibly long, like longer than any of the other ones. So we'll see if I end up reading more of this tonight. I may just save it for tomorrow when I'm feeling like able to get through like a long chapter of a book, because I don't know right now. I'm 25% of the way through The Wolf Wants In by Laura McHugh, and I'm enjoying it. It definitely was kind of giving off a little bit more like this is gonna be a thriller vibes in like the first couple of chapters, and has since kind of shifted towards this is going to be a little bit more character driven and a little bit more like an exploration of the like town vibe and like the town politics, which are all things that I'm totally fine with. But I will say the book is short, so a part of me is kind of feeling like, all right, let's get cracking a little bit if we're gonna solve all of the things, if we're gonna get through all of the things that you kind of hinted at the beginning. But at the same time, that definitely does make me excited to keep reading, just because it's like, okay, well, we're going slow for now, but we gotta get all this stuff figured out eventually, and we don't have a whole lot of time to do it. Oh, and there have been some updates on Gravy. He's still alive, and at this point, I'm thinking he may last through the book because he was taken to the vet, and a lot of his health problems, while not great, are fairly just consistent for being a 15-year-old dog, because that's how old he is. And for all of his ailments, the veterinarian was able to give him something to make him feel better. But the toughest thing about that vet visit was finding out that Gravy is likely depressed because his owner is dead and he misses him. It's hard enough to read about depression from like a people standpoint, but from like a dog standpoint, absolutely not a fan, and I am gonna really need Gravy to get the help and the love that he needs. If you're gonna introduce a dog named Gravy, you need to show happy Gravy at some point. It can't all just be depressed, snappish Gravy. Welcome to Sunday, aka the last day of the reading vlog. I did the math. I am pretty sure I have to read like 270 pages today. I was at like a total of like roughly 270 after Friday and Saturday, and then I've got like 230 left, which is very much doable. But it does mean I'm reading more than I read Saturday and Friday, which, like, is not a difficult thing. However, it's a little bit tough to read right now because of two things. One, like, I'm really liking Honey Girl. I'm really liking The Wolf Wants In. But with both of them, I am kind of feeling like we need to get to the point, especially with The Wolf Wants In, and I think it's because, like, it's a thriller, and part of me is like, okay, there's just very little direction so far, and, like, I'm still enjoying it, but I would like a little bit of direction to come into the story so that I can have a little bit more incentive to read. And with Honey Girl, I honestly think I'm just intimidated by the size of that one chapter, and, like, once I get through that chapter, I'll be fine, but it's just a very long chapter all of a sudden, and I didn't sign up for like a 30-page chapter. I really do not think it's 30 pages, but it just feels very long. I will check in whenever it is that I start reading. So I got home from my walk and I have been making tracks on Honey Girl, and I do try to keep like really sweeping like statements about like the book's length and that sort of thing at a minimum until I've finished the book, because I feel like it's kind of unfair to do anything otherwise. But I'm already kind of feeling like this book is a little bit too short for what it's trying to do, just because as soon as Miss Grace made it to New York, I honestly felt like her relationship with Yuki, like in the beginning of the book, it was progressing at a really like easy to follow pace, and like it was really, really entertaining and I really enjoyed it. And then like when she got to New York, it kind of felt like we just kind of rushed through a bunch of like relationship building things, and now it's kind of hard to know where the relationship stands as a whole. I feel like I kind of just missed the part where like their relationship started progressing into something more than just like a little like texting relationship that they had, and like, you know, jokes about like, oh, we're married and we don't even know each other, that sort of thing. Like everything just happened really fast, and now like I'm not as like invested in Yuki and Grace's relationship as I was in the beginning of the book, just because like I feel like I wasn't taken along for the ride. Like they just kind of left me around like halfway through the book, like when things were starting to get important too. And now like it's harder for me to like really root for either one of them. Another little side note with this, when you have two characters that speak in just a very like romantic and kind of over the top way, it is so fun when they are being nice to each other, but when they fight, oh my goodness, Yuki just sent Grace a text, and I'm like, it's so overdramatic that, like, I genuinely am just like, alright, I'm out. Like, if someone were to send me a text that's that level of dramatic over a little fight, like, I would just be like, okay, I think that you have some growing to do, and I am not gonna be responsible for that, and you need to just kind of reel it in and figure some things out about yourself. So that's where I'm at with Honey Girl. Yeah. I read all of that in like an hour and a half. So I have officially finished Honey Girl, and I pretty much stand by what I said before. I really commend it for trying to accomplish like the romance, and then also all of like the kind of you're in your late 20s and you don't know what you're doing with your life thing. I like that they tried to do both, but I feel like they didn't give themselves enough. Why am I talking about this book as if it was like a unit of people? It was Morgan Rogers who wrote this book, not they. I don't know who they is. I feel like if Morgan Rogers had given herself more time to, like, really develop both the romance and all of, like, the stuff with Grace, I think I would have enjoyed the story more. Mostly because, like, and really I do think it was the romance that was kind of holding me back a little bit, because I was loving it in the beginning. I really was. But then as soon as Grace got to New York, it kind of felt like actual scenes kind of got replaced with, like, dialogue and not really doing anything. Like, this book has very few, like, actual scenes that are set, which is tough because I think that with the way that Morgan Rogers writes, like, it's so pretty and beautiful, and, like, I really wish there were just more, like, concrete moments and scenes rather than just, like, talking back and forth between characters. But yeah, for me, like, the biggest issue was really just, like, I feel like I was with Yuki and Grace as they were falling, like, in the very beginning of the relationship, and then when they were supposed to be actively falling in love, I felt like I wasn't let into that. Like, the story didn't prioritize that in the moments when it was happening, and instead just kind of said that it happened when, and, like, maybe that was just a reading comprehension thing for me, but I don't really think it was. Like, I feel like I can say everything that happened while they were together in New York. I just didn't see the romance blooming. I didn't, like, feel it. So I'm gonna give this 3 stars. I'm gonna write up, like, a full review on Goodreads, and then I am going to, I probably should keep reading The Wolf Wants In, but I kind of want to switch to The Nature of Fragile Things for a little while. I'm gonna, like, make myself probably some lunch and a little bit of tea, and then we will get into that. Alright, it is 10:30. I was just playing games with my roommates, and they've all scattered to the wind, and I have until midnight to finish the weekend challenge, I've decided, and I need to read to page 188 if I'm gonna stick with this book, which I think at this point I just am, so I'm not switching around and wasting time. I'm on page 124, so it's doable, but we're cutting it close.
A little break to show you the cat. Hi, Kaladin. Hi. You sleepy? Oh, you sleepy. Okay, back to reading.
Hello everyone, it is now 11:40 in the nighttime, and I have officially completed my 500-page weekend challenge. To be specific, I read 503 pages, and honestly, in, like, a better week, I feel like I could have done more. Like, I definitely think that the 500-page goal is, like, almost a little bit too doable, and there are, like, definitely some weekends when I would have, like, the willpower and the drive to read 500 pages easily and then surpass that. And that wasn't the case this time, but that is okay. I only finished 2 books, and one of them I was already almost done with, and I don't even have it anymore because I turned it back into the library, but finished Honey Girl. I am almost done with The Wolf Wants In. I made it to, I'm on page 192, and there are, without spoiling anything, 258 pages total, so I'll probably end up finishing this tomorrow, but you're not going to see that. The next time you're going to hear about this book will be in my reading wrap-up for the month of August. A couple things that I've come away with. This isn't exactly a new thing for me to read 500 pages in a weekend, but it is a new thing for me to like be keeping track of my page count and actually have like a reading goal for a short period of time. And as much as I can see how it would be an unsavory thing to a lot of readers, and at times I can also understand how I would really reject having a goal that I have to really be like stuck to, I think that this was a very good decision for me specifically in this exact moment, because as I've mentioned a couple times throughout this video, I have been so lazy. I don't know if it's just the fact that my brain knows I'm heading back to school in not too much longer, and like it feels like I really need to soak up the last of summer and do absolutely nothing. It's more likely that work has just been exhausting me, but it was really great for me to like have a goal so that I could keep reading, especially because a lot of the books that I ended up reading this weekend were books I did have to kind of push myself through a little bit. Honey Girl, just because it was a contemporary, and I honestly don't read that many contemporaries these days. In this book, while it is supposed to be a thriller, it is quite a slow burn one, which is funny considering how absolutely tiny it is. You'd think that more would happen in a book that has such a short amount of time, but no. At the point that I just stopped with this book, we did finally get a little bit of like insight as to how like the two main points of views are connected, and a little bit more of a hint as to like where the rest of the story is going. But for the most part, this book doesn't really give you a clear objective really at any point. And just in general, I'm finding it kind of boring. But I do want to see it through to the end, and having this goal really has helped me just power through it. And being able to stick to this 500-page goal has, as a whole, just made me more productive in other areas of my life this weekend. I haven't been that productive by like my own personal standards, but for like the past month, I've been quite productive for a weekend. And I really do feel like I need to give that credit to this reading challenge. So I am definitely intending to do this again. Thank you to everybody that has made it this far through this video. I am still very new at the whole vlogging thing. If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. Any engagement is super helpful for me. And I'll see you again for my August wrap up, which should be coming to you in early September, along with a bunch of other really fun videos that I have planned. So if you're interested in seeing those videos, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you're notified when any of those come up, because I am not on a consistent uploading schedule at all. Videos will just appear when I can make them appear. That sounded kind of aggressive. It's not aggressive, it's just how things are. Anyway, I need to go take a shower and end this video, so bye, we're done.